Welcome to Hero Villains. In your opinion, who would win, Dark Phoenix or Darkseid? The clash between the cosmic fire god and the Tyrant of Hell.
Dark Phoenix is the corrupted form of Jean Grey when she is completely overtaken by the Phoenix Force. In this state, Jean becomes the embodiment of pure cosmic destruction. She can manipulate matter at the molecular level, bend space, and burn entire planets with a single thought. The mind of Dark Phoenix expands to a cosmic scale, allowing her to read, crush, and restructure the consciousness of countless beings at the same time. Her power is not simply destruction, but the ability to rewrite the order of existence. Darkseid is the supreme tyrant of Apokolips, a near godlike being in the DC universe. He possesses terrifying physical strength, superior intelligence, and especially the Omega effect, an energy source that allows him to destroy, torture, or erase targets from space and time. Darkseid is not only a warrior, but also a strategist who manipulates entire civilizations. If Dark Phoenix is the impulsive storm of universal destruction, then Darkseid is the cold hand that controls destiny. One side is limitless raw power, the other is an evil god who rules through will and strategy, creating a confrontation of reality-shattering proportions.
Before we dive deeper into the analysis, please hit the subscribe button and remember to turn on notifications by clicking the bell icon. Thank you all so much. Dark Phoenix, meaning Jean Grey fully merged with the Phoenix Force, has always been considered one of the most powerful and terrifying beings. Her power level changes depending on the timeline, such as Earth 616, Ultimate, or other universes. As the living embodiment of the Phoenix Force, Jean has the ability to manipulate matter and energy at every level, from tiny fundamental particles to massive cosmic structures. She can rebirth or destroy life, rearrange the order of the universe, create or erase stars, transform energy into life, and vice versa. Planets can vaporize in an instant. Entire solar systems can collapse under the fury of the Phoenix. With psychic strength far beyond normal limits, Dark Phoenix can invade and erase consciousness, and even confront primordial entities of the universe. However, within the cosmic hierarchy, there are beings who stand above or equal to the Phoenix. Eternity, infinity, death, and oblivion are the living principles of the universe, holding absolute authority over existence. The Living Tribunal acts as the supreme judge of the multiverse, with the power to rule over threats beyond any single reality. Above all is the One Above All, the symbol of ultimate power and the absolute creator. In addition, the classic Beyonder, the living monolith at its peak, the Celestials, or certain strongest versions of Galactus have been depicted as surpassing the Phoenix under specific circumstances. Franklin Richards and Molecule Man, with the ability to bend and rebuild the multiverse, further highlight the thin line between cosmic and divine power. Even special constructs like the White Hot Room or other unified Phoenix forms are capable of challenging the power of Dark Phoenix. The Phoenix Force itself is nearly limitless cosmic energy, but how much of that power is revealed depends entirely on the will, experience, and emotions of the host. When Jean Grey masters the Phoenix in its purest state, often called the White Phoenix, she becomes an existence far beyond the uncontrolled Dark Phoenix seen in other phases. But when darkness completely consumes her mind, Dark Phoenix unleashes destructive power even more terrifying, turning herself into a living catastrophe of the universe. At the level of destruction, Dark Phoenix easily steps beyond the limits of those who can wipe out entire planets, and can even consume a star in an instant. She is not just a single threat, but has reached the level of a global catastrophe that forces the entire world to tremble in fear. The moment Dark Phoenix left Earth, Reed Richards was forced to admit that her raw power was equal to that of Galactus. Her movement speed surpasses every familiar boundary, to the point that even Silver Surfer cannot catch up. Her presence is not simply a planetary level threat, but rises to the scale of complete existential destruction. Comparable to the Macron crystal, an artifact once considered a blade hanging over the life of the entire universe. The Macron crystal has the ability to erase all of reality, with nothing more than waves of expanding energy. Before Black Winter appeared, it was considered the first destroyer of the 6th iteration of the universe. The crystal can even destroy the body of the Beyonder and force that entity back into its primordial state. This becomes reasonable when considering that the Beyonder once granted power to Rachel, and she herself compared that power to Jean Grey in the role of Phoenix. Even Scott Summers once injured Doom when he was granted power from the Beyonder, showing the terrifying overlap between supreme sources of power. In the Age of Apokolips reality that replaces Earth 616, Jean never becomes the Phoenix, which means the M'Kraan crystal cannot be healed. The consequences of that absence spread across the entire multiverse, because the destructive waves emitted by the crystal are universal, unaffected by space or time. Only Dark Phoenix possesses the power to completely heal the M'Kraan crystal. Yet, the price to pay is incredibly cruel, because she is forced to draw a portion of life energy from her own friends. This marks the most tragic moment, when Jean stands on the boundary between salvation and sin, between the light of life and the darkness of destruction. When Jean Grey fully commands the Phoenix Force, the entire universe feels as if it lies in the palm of her hand, ready to be shaped at her will. The Phoenix does not simply grant power, but teaches Jean how to directly influence the deepest structure of reality. This power is so immense that even cosmic entities must remain cautious and watch in fear. Across generations of hosts, each one touches only a small portion of this power, brilliant yet devastating. Even Scott Summers, when he carried a fragment of the Phoenix power from Earth 616, could not stop the full force attack of Wanda Maximoff. Meanwhile, Echo can bypass reality warping at a cosmic scale. This indirectly shows that Dark Phoenix can resist extremely high-level reality distortion phenomena, and the Phoenix's sensory range extends across infinite space. Jean can detect the presence of Galactus the moment he prepares to consume a planet. Even so, this ability is not entirely surprising, because even Charles Xavier can extend his consciousness beyond the limits of the universe. However, with Dark Phoenix, psychic power has developed to the point where it envelops all of creation. Even Wolverine, when bonded with the Phoenix, once saw and felt the entirety of existence, enough to understand why Jean, in her Dark Phoenix state, becomes the nightmare of every mind. Dark Phoenix can also expand another person's consciousness in an instant, throwing them into a chain of experiences far beyond normal perception, overloading the mind like a cup overflowing with water. When Charles Xavier directly confronted Dark Phoenix in a brutal telepathic battle, he nearly subdued her. But that only happened because Jean herself was restraining her own power. Their confrontation took place across multiple layers of existence, where thoughts became weapons and emotions turned into blades. Dark Phoenix was merely playing with him and defeated him with ease. Her telekinetic power allows her to pull meteors from miles away in outer space and drag them to the battlefield. Respect the power of Dark Phoenix. I truly hope you will subscribe to the channel. It will help us a lot, and you are the best! Thank you very much. Darkseid possesses physical strength at a level that even Superman struggles to match. In fact, he once defeated the Man of Steel with a single punch that required almost no effort, enough to show the terrifying difference between the two when Darkseid is at full power. Darkseid also has the ability to move objects with his mind, creating invisible force fields to block incoming attacks. He can manipulate the minds of others on a massive scale, controlling millions of beings at once like puppets with no will to resist. In battle, Darkseid can freely change his size, teleport himself or his enemies across space in an instant. More frightening than anything, he can manipulate matter in the literal sense, bending the structure of existence to his will. This power places Darkseid among the most terrifying beings in the DC universe. In events such as Superman issues 23 and 26, Doomsday, trapped inside a time loop, clearly showed fear toward Darkseid in the present timeline. His soldiers were even able to subdue Doomsday with ease, a being once considered at his strongest version. Even in versions considered weaker, such as the New 52 era in Earth 2, World's End, or the Convergence events, Darkseid still demonstrated extraordinary durability. He once endured the explosion of boom tubes amplified by his own Omega beams with almost no damage. These boom tubes are normally powerful enough to imprison divine-level entities. All of this makes Darkseid not only a tyrant of Apokolips, but also a living symbol of fear and destruction on a cosmic scale. In his confrontation with Val-Zod,
Darkseid held absolute dominance. He defeated his opponent with a single strike, ending the battle with brutal swiftness, as if any attempt at resistance was meaningless before the power of the Lord of Apokolips. Although Val-Zod was at a disadvantage, he is still considered equal in power to Deimos, a being who once shook the entire multiverse. To defeat Val, Deimos had to use Val's own power combined with many others. Deimos possesses power so overwhelming that it surpasses even many mystical entities, and he has been described as having reached the layer beyond the origin of the DC multiverse itself. In the Convergence event, Deimos carried the power of the strongest version of Captain Atom, known as Monarch, along with countless other time manipulators. This further highlights the terrifying nature of Darkseid, because the new 52 version of Darkseid is still regarded as superior to each individual entity within that collection of power. On Earth 26, Val-Zod was even stated to be stronger than Brutal, a clone of Superman from Earth 2. Brutal possessed strength nearly equal to Alan Scott, and was even said to surpass him in certain aspects. The new 52 version of Alan Scott once held the entire Earth in place against the overwhelming pull of a boom tube attempting to drag the planet into the realm of the gods. Darkseid does not win solely through brute force, but through the very aura of a being born to rule and spread fear across all realms of existence. Darkseid is depicted as someone capable of creating or destroying an entire planet with a single thought. The nature of his body, regardless of what form it takes, is capable of containing the Omega effect, an energy source that can fundamentally alter the matter of reality. This power allows him to create worlds or crush them into ashes at will. Darkseid's ability to choose his own form of existence shows that he is not bound by normal physical limits, but operates like a living law of destruction. Darkseid and Highfather are often placed on equal footing with Tachyon, a being who can control the entire quantum field, which contains the flow of time, layers of existence beyond multidimensional structure, speed, and even the emotional spectrum. Tachyon can even open rifts that lead directly to the source, and he himself is an embodiment of that power. In the event Death of the New Gods, Orion, the greatest rival of Darkseid, fired an energy blast amplified by Tachyon through Highfather's staff. Orion, who is often considered a peer and direct equal to Darkseid, has demonstrated the ability to move entire worlds out of their natural orbits and completely destroy massive planets. When a being like Orion can accomplish such feats, then Darkseid, who always stands at the center of tragedy and war among the gods, is naturally far more terrifying. Every time he appears, space trembles, order falters, and civilizations, no matter how powerful, can only wait in fear for judgment. Darkseid is not simply a tyrant of Apokolips, but a living symbol of power capable of rewriting the fate of entire worlds. Darkseid once defeated Infinity Man in a single moment, even though that opponent could withstand attacks powerful enough to destroy an entire solar system. This detail alone illustrates the terrifying gap in strength between the two beings. In Legion of Superheroes, Darkseid at one point was considered weaker than his present self, yet he still surpassed pre-Crisis Mordru. Meanwhile, in Justice League of America, a weakened version of Mordru was powerful enough to overwhelm an entire planet filled with sorcerers equal to pre-Crisis Dr. Fate, and even stronger than the Justice League at that time. The fact that Darkseid is ranked above Mordru in the hierarchy of power shows his nearly unquestionable dominance. If we mention Validus, who was dozens of times stronger than pre-Crisis Superboy in Adventure Comics, the truth becomes even more astonishing. In Legion of Superheroes Annual, it was revealed that Validus only possessed a very small fraction of Darkseid's power. Darkseid in the present era is acknowledged as stronger than ever, with increasingly clear abilities that reach into the multiversal scale. Even though most of his powers have been documented, every time he appears, there is always the sense that his strength has never reached its limit. Darkseid's presence is not only a physical threat, but also a suffocating psychological pressure weighing down on every living being. Like a massive shadow cast over countless worlds, wherever he walks, hope fades. Darkseid does not need to shout to assert his dominion, because his very name alone is enough to make both heroes and dark gods wary. Darkseid in his normal state has been defeated more than once by Superman and Doomsday through sheer physical power. Although he is still a terrifying tyrant, he clearly has limits when facing living engines of destruction like the Man of Steel or the Monster of Doomsday. Dark Phoenix exists on a completely different level. She absorbs energy directly from the stars and is capable of facing cosmic forces on the level of Galactus all on her own. Reed Richards once openly compared her raw power to that of the Devourer of Worlds. Even Galactus himself has expressed respect for the power of Dark Phoenix. In a crossover event, Galactus accidentally defeated Darkseid, and at one point even turned Superman into his own herald, further emphasizing the gap in power between Darkseid and true cosmic entities. The reason Dark Phoenix stands as an absolute catastrophe lies in her connection to the M-Cran crystal, the nexus of realities. Dark Phoenix not only reached it, but also healed and completely restored this crystal. The M'Kraan itself is an artifact capable of destroying the entire universe and every reality in the multiverse. Merely disturbing its stasis field can create black holes capable of consuming everything that exists. Even its tiny fragments can be used to travel through time, open pathways to countless other realities, or even take someone to Panopticon, a realm beyond both space and time. Power like this in the hands of Dark Phoenix is essentially giving her the key to the end of all things. This supreme power explains why Dark Phoenix is considered a literal planet-destroying force. And that does not even include her alternate timeline appearances, where she defeated Thanos, Mephisto, and Ultron, all in the same day in the original X-Men lineup. These feats are no longer simple victories, but absolute declarations of destruction and rebirth. In this comparison, the outcome is almost impossible to overturn. Dark Phoenix stands at the threshold of the highest cosmic entities, and the victory belongs to her. Dark Phoenix wins here. I hope you enjoyed this battle. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Follow me if you like. That is the video for today. Thank you very much.